I'm Chef Joanna from Los Angeles here, and I do cooking classes, cooking videos, and basically just anything related to food and the stories and the culture is what I'd love to explore. So this whole podcast project is about exploring people's stories and culture through the food and anything else that comes out, any stories or healing or whatever food might be related in that instance. So we have the first guest of the podcast today is Dominic, and he's gonna start telling his story from blogging and till now, more than just blogging, but his whole food story and how food has played a part in his life, in his healing, in like all of us, how food has been there through these hard periods and cooking. And I can't wait to see what he's going to share with us and go from there. So you would like to introduce a little bit about yourself before we get into the whole thing?
Sure. My name's Dom. I am originally from South Philadelphia. Grew up in an Italian American family, an Italian American neighborhood where food plays such a big part of that growing up. Big Sunday family meals, lots of recipes that were passed down from grandparents, aunts. Um, you just grew up with good food around you all the time and being surrounded by family and friends, mostly in the kitchen or around the dining room table. That's where all of the congregating happened. Um, my wife and I, when we first got married, wanted to continue that tradition. When we started our family, I have two daughters, and it was important for us to carry on those traditions, which eventually led me to blogging about coming from this um you know coming from South Philadelphia and this culture where food is so important. I always enjoyed cooking, never did it as a career. It was always a passion of mine as a home cook. And from there, I started blogging about it, and it took off for me. And I have a lot I can share with you about the blogging history and what it's done for me and how it's helped me through healing processes. So that's kind of an introduction of who I am and what I do.
Beautiful, beautiful, cool. So is it mostly Italian recipes on the blogging or?
It started off as that. The idea of the blog started, and by the way, I'm not a chef. I'm just a home cook. I am a graphic designer by trade, so creativity is kind of in my blood. I'm always looking for ways to be creative.
Mhm.
And the idea of writing and taking photos and doing videos and even dipping my toes into some podcasting was interesting for me. And that's why I started the blog. The idea of the blog was to document these recipes that we really had no recipes for. When you grow up in an Italian family, an Italian American family, very reluctant to share what the recipes are. It's a little of this, it's some of that. This is the way I do it. It was my goal to, number one, kind of break these recipes down in a way that could be shared. My wife and I were both full-time working parents, so we enjoyed the home cooked meals. We enjoyed spending time in the kitchen, but we didn't have the time that some of our relatives may have who are home all day, working, of course, in the house, but they were in the house. Uh, so the idea was also for me to kind of figure out ways to streamline these recipes a little bit, make them easier for us, and to also incorporate our kids into the kitchen, introducing our daughters to what our traditions were, some of the recipes, getting them involved with it. So it did start off with Italian American recipes we were familiar with, but as I really learned how to cook and appreciated the cooking and the therapy behind cooking, any recipe that came along that I was interested in and wanted to either follow or figure out my own way to do it, I was jumping in. So it's all over the place now. It's not just Italian American food. It's uh,
Mhm.
our diets have changed over the years. My daughters and I don't have any dietary restrictions or any sort of food allergies, luckily, but I do appreciate the knowledge of better eating,
Mhm.
anti-inflammatory eating, the better foods. One of the many things I love about what you share. So that's kind of how the blog started, and it took off through social media was the big avenue for me to share my
Mhm.
blog posts. Um, some of my recipes were picked up to be run in local newspapers, magazines. I was part of a radio program for a while. Lorraine Rinaldi hosted this show called Cucina Chatter, and I
Oh,
would come on once every other week and just share what was on my blog.
oh,
It was like a real food community that we built, and it was all organic and it was fun. And
mhm.
life kind of gets in the way, so I'm not always available to blog as much as I used to. It's been 15 years since I've started, so it's a lot
Wow.
of blogging, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, life tends to get in the way. So I don't always have the time that I used to actually blog about things, but I'm
Mhm.
always in the kitchen cooking. It's the biggest therapy for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, same for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just as you were talking, remembered the deconstructed stuffed peppers we did
Yes, that's right. Yes.
together.
That
And
was
that was such a great recipe because it was kind of like you're speaking to the working mom or dad who's like,
mhm.
we're gonna try to eat healthier and we're gonna save some time making these instead of stuffing each pepper to just kind of do a bake and
Yeah.
it turned out really good. It was really tasty.
Yeah,
So,
that was a fun recipe. It was a fun segment we did. I loved every minute of that.
yeah.
It was a good time. So I appreciated that. I appreciate you allowing me to be your first guest on this. This is
Oh
incredible.
no, this is great.
Yeah.
Just having you call and having this
Mhm.
whole thing come to fruition right now is like perfect timing and
Great.
be happier to have
Good.
you as my first guest. You have
Good. Good.
great energy and you're passionate about food and cooking. So um
Thanks. Thank you. And I'm
um,
excited to see where you take this because I'm sure there's going to be some good things coming up. We all learn from what you share and what you do. And I can get into that as well. I mean I have a lot I can talk about. So whatever directions you want to go here. Um
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to keep it open-ended. I know
sure.
you have a story to tell,
Mhm.
however much you're comfortable to share. I think it'll be really valuable for anybody to hear, like
Yeah.
especially in these times when I feel like nobody is spared some kind of uh I don't know. Things are just happening all over the place, and we need a bit of hope and inspiration continues. So
Yeah.
anything you'd like to speak about and how cooking has kind of been this thread for you,
Mhm.
helping
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. So like I said, cooking and food, um, the kitchen area, the dining room table was always part of our family traditions. I was always the cook. My wife was the baker. There are
Mm,
two different theories there, art versus science. I have no
mm,
patience for baking. She had no patience for the cooking. So it all balanced out, and we were able to introduce our daughters to all kinds of different recipes, and
mhm,
they became very self-sufficient in the kitchen very early because we would do things to get them involved in a safe way and in a fun
mm,
way. If we were making soups, we would chop up the ingredients, put them in a bowl, have them stir up the ingredients, the dry ingredients in the bowl, which is harmless, but it becomes their recipe at that point. If
mm,
they're involved with it, which encourages them to eat it and enjoy it, which was a fun thing. So we would do things like that in the kitchen. We spent a lot of time in the kitchen. It was therapeutic for both of us after a long work day, coming home to cook something, spending a weekend cooking in the kitchen.
mhm.
My wife would take off 2 weeks before Christmas and just spend 2 weeks in the kitchen baking cookies. I would come home from work and some new cookie would be shoved into my mouth before the coat was off. It was great,
Oh wow, it's
fun stuff.
incredible.
So it was always therapeutic. It was always there for us. Um, So in early 2020, we had lost my wife. She was suffering for about a year and a half with uh, th- lots of different things. We weren't sure what was going on. There was some mental health issues involved, which led to finding out there were some imbalances, possibly whatever it was. We had lost my wife uh, about a month before the pandemic started. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it was very strange because here I am now with my two daughters. And I do have to say that my wife and I always worked together as a team. Uh, we always helped each other out. One picked up for the other. So when she was no longer there, and even when she was suffering, I was able to step into the role to kind of keep things balanced a little bit. But now everything was it was all on me and my two daughters. Um, and in a strange way, I have to say, when quarantine happened, I think it kind of benefited us a little bit. We were able to regroup. We were able to forget about everything else and just focus on who we were becoming, what we had to do.
Mm,
Um, it's funny because for everybody knows how much I love cooking. And when all of this happened, my neighbors had set up a meal train. And for those of you who do not know what a meal train is, it's an organized list somebody puts together where people sign up to volunteer to bring a meal to your house for someone who's in need.
mhm,
And my neighbors, the community, they put together this list, which was, I mean, it completely touched me like you wouldn't believe. Uh, Signed up pretty much from the beginning of March straight through, I think, the Friday before Memorial Day, 3 days a week is what they had planned out for us, which was amazing. Friends of mine who knew how much I like to cook would text me or call me and say, I don't know how we're going to cook for you, and I'm like, I would never judge anything. I'm so humbled by all of this, but they were worried about making food for us, which I thought was
oh,
funny, cute. It made me feel bad that they felt that way, but it was what it was. But when
mhm,
the pandemic hit, there was no time for that, and I knew the girls and I would be okay. And I told everybody, "You take care of yourselves. We're okay. I'll check in with everybody so we're doing okay." And that's when I actually was able to get back into cooking uninterrupted, figuring things out, being in the kitchen. It was my therapy once again.
mhm,
And that's when I learned about this concept that I'm kind of tinkering with called food therapy. Uh,
mm,
not just spending time in the kitchen, but really getting lost in it, being mindful of what you're doing, being in the moment,
mhm,
and just shutting everything else out and having fun with it.
yeah,
And for as much as I lost, and for as much as our lives have changed, I have been able to keep moving forward,
mhm,
moving along with, not even moving forward, moving along with. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the passion for cooking and the passion for food. It's been my saving grace because it allows me to get lost in something that I enjoy.
mhm,
Um, when you're doing something, there's an end result when you cook, and that's what I love about it. There's going to be an end result, and it's going to be a good result. Whether it's something you've done a million times and you can go in blindfolded and do it, or if you're following something new,
mhm,
like a recipe that Chef Joanna is sharing on her Instagram and you follow it or whatever, there's going to be an end result.
mhm,
And from the creative side, I enjoy that. It allowed my daughters and I to come together and make different things. The
mhm,
smells that were in the house were uplifting. And I've continued to stay with that,
mhm,
to help me through, and figure things out. And it's given me encouragement to do other things and to learn about myself.
mhm.
My wife and I were together. We were high school sweethearts.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was always it was us. And after all this time, it was now me. And I had to learn about me and what I
Mhm,
liked and what I wanted to do. And that was difficult, but food allowed me to do that as well by changing up some things that maybe I enjoyed, taking out some spices that I didn't like that
mhm,
my wife Daria, her name was Daria, what she did like. And that was one of the first things that made me feel comfortable with change and accepting the change and embracing it. Um, it allowed me to get back to the basics with recipes. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Being home, again, quarantine, I was one of the few people I think benefited from that.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to just nestle in and figure out some things that I wanted to do, and
Mhm.
just make the best basic chocolate chip cookie, the best
Mm.
grilled cheese, but without reinventing the wheel, just digging in and appreciating what was there.
Mm.
And that it continues daily with me. I enjoy the going to farmers markets. I've enjoyed looking at fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to the theory of healing through food.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Wow. No, I love that what you shared. Do you think she's definitely in the kitchen with you and you're cooking and you
Oh,
said you started
absolutely.
baking?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I cautiously I bake, and there has
Yeah.
been some things that have gotten tossed into the trash can because I am my worst critic when I make things. I'm sure
Yeah.
you can understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm learning more about it. I've started breaking out a lot of the baking tools that she would use and the baking
Oh,
trays and stuff. So,
incredible.
little things. It allows me to have a connection. And I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, everybody has their own outlook on things. I'm a very spiritual person as far as that goes. So it allows me to have a spiritual connection to keep and to feel comfortable with in a positive way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that you're using the tools that she used. Like,
Yeah,
you know, there's something to that. I believe in all that.
sure.
Spiritual.
Yeah, yeah.
That they're right here with us,
Hmm.
in the kitchen, and that's incredible. And also like what you share about the spices, and you're kind of figuring out that it's okay to change, that change is part of it, and just like what you liked before might not be what you like now, or something like that,
Yeah,
and to be just kind of go with the flow of things, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I've always had that appreciation with food and ingredients. Learning about like seasonal ingredients. Something I may make in April might not taste anywhere near the same as it does now, because the ingredients are different. What's available in season is different.
Yeah.
But that allows that's the fun part for me. It allows you to make adjustments and to
Mhm.
figure out new things. It's an ongoing process. You can follow the same recipe day in and day out, and that's fine. But you can get so creative and change things, and that's what's helped me out so much. Um,
Yeah.
my girls and I, when we were home, not able to go out and socialize with people, we started doing this thing. I mean, pizza is that's the easy go-to on Friday nights, I think, for a lot of people, in my neighborhood, at least, the pizza parlors, nonstop, I'm sure, busy. Um, what we started doing when we were home was we started a thing called Flatbread Fridays, making our
Oh,
own pizzas at home. Uh,
okay.
I wouldn't always make the dough. You can buy decent flatbread shells, something
Mhm.
good. If I had the time to make them, I would. But we would make these different flatbreads on Friday night, and we named it Flatbread Fridays, and we would come up with themes, which was fun. If it was summertime, maybe we would incorporate some seafood on the pizzas, or if it was veggie night, we would do different garden vegetables on the pizzas just to mix it up.
Oh, that's
Um,
great. I love that.
yeah, and I've documented a lot of that. A lot of that's on my blog. You can see the
Oh,
different
okay.
recipes.
What is your
Basically,
blog?
yeah, it's domskitchen.com.
Okay. Okay. I'll
And
put it
if you
in.
go there, there's plenty of information and recipes and photos. And I've been noticing, not to sidetrack, but I've been noticing over the years, I don't really share exact recipes or specific recipes. I like talking about the idea of a
Mm.
recipe and the concept of it, and encouraging the readers
Mm.
to run with it. Like when I talked about Flatbread Friday, I gave examples of what we did. I shared pictures of what we did, but I wasn't going to say you have to add this and that on it.
Yeah.
Make it your own. Do your own thing. And The theme night was fun. And I have questions about the theme night pictures that you've shared because friends of mine have been doing these theme nights as well with food, which is a fun thing. So
Yeah, super
it,
fun.
yeah, it
Uh,
is. It is.
No, I love that. That you have like these ideas to do with your girls, and
Mhm.
it sounds like you involve them, and you
Yeah.
have more of those on your blog for
Yeah.
ideas. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot that they're involved with. My oldest is a sophomore in college now. She lives away at college. It's only 40 minutes away. It's far enough for her to become
Yeah,
her own person, but close enough that we can still see her, which is which
yeah.
is um it's funny because well, last year when she was in the dorm situation, whenever she would come home, she would want to cook all the time, and I would be excited. I would get all of this stuff. We're going to make a meal. We're going to have,
Oh,
and then I would get booted out of the kitchen because she wanted to do everything.
oh,
But
wow.
you
Okay,
know what? That's great.
that's
Okay,
wonderful.
so to see her do that this year, she's in an apartment situation with three of her friends,
Hmm.
and she's cooking up a storm over there. She'll send me
Oh,
pictures of these homemade butternut squash recipes that she does and
wow.
different vegetables and omelets. And I'm thinking, kiddo, there's not many people on campus that are eating the way you.
Oh, they're so lucky to be your
So,
roommates.
yeah. So it's a good thing. Like I said, for all that we have been through, it's helped us move along. And I think that was
Yeah.
part of the fabric that kept us together was our passion for food. And I mean, there was a lot of tears over dishes over the years too, of
Yeah.
course. But that's what allows the family to come over and talk and be comfortable, and friends to come over and hang out.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to say about the comfort of food and the healing atmosphere that comes along with it. Not only the food that you can eat that you can actually heal yourself with, which I'm learning about. I don't talk much about it because again, I don't have any dietary restrictions. I'm learning about new and better foods
Yeah.
and the benefits of it. But just the concept of cooking and being part of it, it's good for the soul, it's good for the mind, and it's good for the heart.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, it's hard to say always like a certain diet because it could be different for everybody, you know. What's work
Right,
for
right.
one doesn't work for another. But I think as long as people are a little more intentional, like what you were saying, like maybe it's just bringing back the intentionality of the food because I think you get it too because you have this the Italian aspect of we've lost so much in American culture of like, sitting together and, really, I don't know, enjoying what you're eating and not just eating it to eat it for entertainment or
Right.
things like that. And I think we need some of this conversation and we need the time to actually sit down. Um, because yeah, I don't know the statistics, how many families are not sitting down at the dinner table now, but I think it's you know, that's a whole other story I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
But
The way of the world kind of dictates a lot of things these days.
yeah,
I mean, I think it does. A lot of it has to do with the roots, what you establish within your family. Uh,
mhm,
I mean, there's plenty of times I'm sure my kids would have rather been sitting in front of the television eating whatever they wanted to, and there's certain times we'll do that as fun. We'll set up. We would have.
mm.
I've come home from work and Daria and the girls were having like a picnic on the floor. Okay, we're having a picnic
Oh, that's
on the floor, and,
okay.
that,
But
and
that's
that's
still like
it
together.
makes it makes it an event. And I
Yeah.
think that's the key is making it an event, making it something to look
Mhm,
forward to. Um, I there's some of my closest friends, we get together maybe once a month, and there's
mm,
always food involved. We understand each other.
mm.
There's and the conversations as soon as you walk in, hey, check out this new cheese that I bought. And then you hear the stories about what behind the cheese, what the person said, and at the cheese market and everything.
Oh, I
And
love
I
that.
just I can just I soak that all up, and it's
Yeah,
great. It's so much fun. So much
yeah.
fun.
Where do you think you got, was that like from your family, or do you have like brothers and sisters who are the same, or is this something that you think you just,
Um,
oh,
Growing up, I mean, my family is Italian American 4 generations back. I mean, it's been,
okay.
my great grandparents were the ones that came over here, so there was always food. I mean, my mom's a great cook. My grandmother was an excellent cook. My aunts. I just think when it was up to my wife and myself to, now that we were starting our own family and everything, just talking with other friends of ours whose families were so established into cooking, it made us
Mm,
look back to the recipes that our families did, and it made us want to just bring it back a little bit more, which in turn encouraged our families to do it as well. My mom would start, like she's sending me, different Google things that she finds with recipes and stuff, which I think is amazing. My brother is a phenomenal cook. He's married into a family that, I mean, they're all just, my brother's in-laws who are fantastic. They just cook like crazy. So
oh,
there's
wow.
there's always talk
It's
about
in your
food.
blood.
Yeah, there's stories that are shared about food. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the language, I guess,
Yes.
you guys all
Yeah.
speak. Yeah. Wow. No,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know the last thing we had talked about, but I want to hear more of this, you know, what your vision is for the cooking and the healing, or how you would kind of share that with other
Mhm.
people, or because yeah, it's not really like a structured thing, or
Yeah. Yeah, as just so everybody understands, I've been following you from, I guess, not long after the pandemic. My friend Mike, who is
oh, right.
yes,
Wow.
he has he's gluten free, and
Mhm.
he was always sending me different links to different people, and he said, I'm following this chef, you got to check her out. And
Wow.
watching your videos, watching the passion that you had,
Mhm.
what you do with your social media and everything, I found that very inspiring at the time. It helped lift me up, that it helped encourage me to get back into blogging a little bit and cooking more, because I love the approach you take.
Mhm.
There's I always like watching the cooking shows. I love reading cooking magazines and books, but there's so much of a game show aspect to it. I can only see
Yes.
so many
Oh, yeah.
Halloween Wars or whatever it may be this week. It's all
Yeah.
great, but it's just I enjoy the aspect of the educational part of it, the learning. And you've always been so great at sharing what you're doing and giving some knowledge and tips and tricks. So I took that, and I've been working with that, and creative ideas are always running in my mind. And
Mhm.
I hit a milestone this year. I hit a big birthday, and it
Mhm.
allowed me to start thinking about where I am, where I want to be in life.
Mhm.
Like making sure I have a good work-life balance, and I do right now. But I feel like I want to kind of give back to people in a way, the things that I've learned over the years. I mean, there's a lot of therapy involved, and that's very helpful for me. And I've been reaching out to people that I find inspiring, and finding out what it is that what inspired them to do what they're doing. What steps are they taking? And you've shared what's involved with your projects and what you put together. And I'm at a point now in my life where I'm kind of sketching out ideas, how I can incorporate what my passions are in a way that I can share them for people that might need a little extra comfort, someone who you might click with and understand.
Mhm.
Um, my particular situation in life, there's people out there that may not know where to turn for
Mhm.
inspiration or just guidance. I'm not saying I'm able to guide them, but I've put a lot of hard work into getting to where I am now. And I continue to put in a lot of hard work, and I will have to continue to do that,
Yeah.
to adjust. Um, and I'm finding that, cooking has been such an important part for me. Art therapy is a huge thing.
Oh.
And where you can paint, you can go to these classes and talk, and it gets you in a good mood and a good place.
Okay.
And it got me thinking, like, food is and cooking is what brings happiness to me. Is there a way to incorporate that somehow, maybe? You
Mhm.
know, um, not coming up with fancy recipes, but just to sit around with people and have
Mm.
open conversation, allow the atmosphere of the food and the cooking, and a
Yeah.
glass of wine if you need it or whatever,
Yeah.
to just sit around and just allow yourselves to open up and talk. And I mean,
Mhm.
I found that with I find that with my friends when we get together, whatever beverages are being shared, food, stories, we
Mhm.
could go all night, and it's just great. It's
Yeah.
fun. And I'm trying to figure out some ways to reestablish my food blog. I enjoy blogging. I don't have the time to do it as much, and I do find sometimes that maybe what I have done with it may have run its course as far as the
Mm.
presentation. There are things have evolved so much with Instagram, TikTok, these
Yeah.
different videos. I enjoy that. I've kind of messed around and did a few videos here and there. The links are on my food blog, but it takes time. It takes time if you want to do it right. If you want to present yourself right, it takes time to think it through and to produce it. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to keep my passion going, keep the blog going, keep the information going, and maybe weave in some things about personal life that some people may need to hear to help keep them going.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of what I have cooking on,
Mhm.
simmering in the background.
Yes.
So
I
pun
love that.
intended. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. What you shared about your friends getting together,
Mhm.
this talk, and um, yeah, there's something there that if you expand that out, or I'm not sure, it just seems like it's a good thing. Like we
Yeah.
need that. We need that
Yeah.
right now.
No,
Uh,
I appreciate you saying that. It's encouraging to hear, and
yeah, I mean,
we'll see where it goes.
yeah, I everything you're doing sounds sounds great. Um, it sounds like you had a really good support group when
Mhm.
you went through like the hard times. Your wife, and if somebody didn't have that, what would you advise them, or where would you tell them where to turn? Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, of course, not everybody has a support, or everybody's situation is different. There are so many different avenues uh, to look out on. I mean, there are different Facebook groups, I would say, that do cater to people who need some comfort. Dig into them and look into what they really offer, because some things are for more entertainment value, and they can bring some laughs every once in a while, but you're not going to maybe get the encouragement to move forward.
Mhm.
Um, just be open with people. Find the people and the atmosphere that you feel comfortable with.
Mhm.
Because there might be people that you try to talk to, people you try to open up with, who may not know what to say, who may not know how to react. That's understandable. You don't know unless you really know sometimes.
Mhm.
And, you don't want to make anybody else feel uncomfortable, because then that can mess you up a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, I've found that personally, because of so much I went through and experienced and was shut down from the rest of the world for so long. I got a little desensitized as to what I was able to talk about. And when I started socializing with people a little bit and talking and just sharing what I thought was, oh, here's my story, it was a little bit upsetting for them, because they just weren't used to dealing with that. Everybody has a level.
Yeah.
You don't know what one person's level is. You may be at a 10 today for whatever it is you're dealing with. Your
Mhm.
10 might be my 3, but I can't judge that.
Yeah.
Your 10 is still your 10.
Mhm.
And um, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say, because there is no real answer or guidelines. You
Yeah.
just have to kind of feel your way through things, be open with people, talk with people. I mean, therapy was great for me.
Mm.
Uh, and just if you can find something that distracts you, that keeps you in the moment,
Mhm.
without thinking about other things, And when I say that, I mean, don't even put the effort to say, I'm not going to think about this right now, because you're still putting effort into that when you do that. You know, just find if even if it's just taking a walk, if it's reading a book, if it's painting, if it's building a model car, if it's cleaning your bathroom, if that's something that you get lost in, find those moments that you can kind of separate from anything that's bothering you, and it's you find a little bit of uplifting moments that way. I believe that's what helped me out.
That's great. That's even for anything. Just having a hard day, those are
Yeah,
all really good tips.
yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share? You
um I mean, it I think I kind of said as much as I could think of at the moment, to be honest with you. I appreciate you allowing me to share this. If anybody is ever interested, to contact me. Again, my food blog is domskitchen.com. There is a contact page on there. If anyone finds any, wants to contact me to if they need someone to, reach out to and to talk to,
know?
that maybe has an understanding of something they're going through. I'm always happy to listen. Um, I do want to commend you on everything you've been sharing again with all of the
Oh,
recipes and the food groups that you're doing,
oh, thank
these what was it that you did just recently, the
yeah.
mezcal and tequila tasting? I mean, that's
Yeah. I mean, I like doing these themed dinners and um like you said, just like for people to come together to talk
Mhm.
about food, drink, and um, just another way to connect, I think.
Yeah.
And my whole thing right now is like I love sharing the whole, tips and tricks on like
Mhm.
how to make these certain things, but I keep feeling the need for this connection more than anything. This like I have this idea of, instead of like just nutrition, there's what we need is social nutrition. And maybe right now,
Yeah.
more than like there's enough diet advice out
Yes.
there. We know what's good for us. We know we shouldn't eat fried food too much and sodas, but we don't always take the time to like put the time into our relationships, the close ones, but also the ones that maybe are outside the circle, but still are like make the society go and flow, like the person you meet at the grocery store or the clerk. And um, I just feel like we need to make a more of a point of those connections right now.
Mhm.
And any way I can do that through these food groups and themed events and um, that's kind of what my thing is evolving to. Like I'm still always going to cook and talk about food and recipes, but
Right.
just somehow going from that to a more connected social something
Hmm.
to make that a point. Because yeah, it's the missing component of the whole food picture. And I'm doing these blue zones kind of thing where I'd like to make recipes from blue zones,
Right.
places where people don't really die, they have no disease. And one of the biggest things is they're part of a social group.
Right. Right.
Either they have the family or they have the religious group or just a group kind of like what you're doing when you meet with your friends once a month, like
Hmm.
something like that that keeps them healthy too, not just the food. So I don't know. I don't know how I'll do that. I'd love to like, you know, have some kind of center.
Yeah.
But
That sounds I love everything about that. I think it's inspiring. I think it's great. And I think so many people would benefit from that. So if you open up a center and you're looking for an East Coast, off, I'll be happy to
yeah, Or maybe
Take
it will
down.
be like a moving center, where we don't have just one spot. We go to a
Okay.
new place, and
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, something
There
um
are no I just this conversation is just telling me there's no limits to what food can do, what it can bring to you. Uh, Conversation. Holidays coming up. Holidays are not the easiest for people. There's always some sort of a food involved. You don't have to do what you've done before. Make things new for yourself. Make things different.
mm,
Talk to friends, find out what might interest you, and like you said, the conversation comes out of food. Everybody has that common denominator of food, and by talking with friends, even people you might be standing behind in the market. That happened to me just the other day. My daughter and I were at the
mm,
pumpkin patch, and we were buying some stuff from the little grocery store, and I had a jar of this marinate not marinated, uh like onions and garlic preserves, and
okay.
jam, onion jam is what it was. And the woman behind me was like, "Oh, that looks good." And I said, "Yeah, I use it as a marinade." And she went, "You're kidding." And I said, "I'll wait here. You go grab one. I'll hold your spot in line." And it just and things like that. It's fun, you
Yeah,
know.
it's
Um,
wonderful.
so I get what you're saying. It brings a lot more, and allows you to forget about some of the craziness that's going on in the world, or just in life in general.
Yeah,
So what you're doing and what you're sharing and allowing me to speak here is a great thing, really is.
yeah, no, I s- I feel like I hear you. A lot of what you're saying is like, be okay with change too, and try
Mhm.
something new. And the tradition of, like, that's been going for this many years, you can change it, and it's okay. And I
Yeah.
think that's important to share. And even like striking up conversation with the person behind you. Like, yeah, we just have to open ourselves to something new and different. I think is
Mhm.
very healing in a
Yes,
lot of ways. So thank you for
absolutely.
bringing that up.
Mhm.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the pain we feel is something that we're holding on to, that
Mhm.
sometimes we have to let go a little more or something.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think embracing the present moment in the cooking and the smelling of the spices and you the person in line, and um we have to embrace that, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Sure. No, absolutely. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my story in a big nutshell.
Oh,
I was I
beautiful.
appreciate the opportunity to share it, and it has me excited to keep moving forward as well. So even just this conversation alone is it's adding fuel to the fire to figure out new things. So this is a perfect example of what it can do for people, you know.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, for sharing this. I know it's like, you know, something that is still kind of recent, and
Mhm.
but I hope people can, if they need a little hope and inspiration, you're there showing them that it can be done. You can keep moving forward, and it's so powerful to hear. So I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing next. And check out your blog too for all those little things you shared, and your new take on things, which is
Mhm.
inspire people. Don't just give a recipe. Just kind of open up their minds a little bit and see
Yeah.
what can come out.
Mhm.
It's like the true artist.
Yes. Yes.
The
Thank you. So
best teachers. Um, so yeah, we'll of course be in touch, and we'll keep each other accountable to keep doing the more thing.
yes, absolutely. I've can't wait to see where you go with this, and happy to check back in when I figure out what exactly it is I'm
Sure.
figuring out for myself too. So it's
Yeah,
all
yeah, let it evolve. And
yes.
I thank you so much for your support for the years that you have been a supporter commenting on my things
Mm.
and my newsletter, and it means a lot. I really appreciate it. So um yeah, I think that that's all I have left to say, but any last words to anybody listening?
Um, just follow what you feel, you know, check things out. Don't be afraid. Um, reach out for assistance when you need to, but do what you have to do to take care of yourself. Don't be afraid to evolve a little bit. Even if it's just changing up a spice in a dish is a step. They say when you're healing, just the concept of getting dressed in the morning is an accomplishment. So the idea is to being mindful. If you can accomplish something, great. If not today, you try tomorrow. And just try to stay positive and surround yourself with the positive energy, and hopefully that brings us all to a better place.
That's beautiful words. Beautiful, perfect ending.
Okay. So thank you so
Thank you,
much. This was
Dom.
this
Thank
was
you, Dom.
fantastic. Okay. Take care.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. See you.